Good afternoon, everyone. So, a little bit about me. So, my name is Freddie. I'm founder and CEO of a business called Kudos. We are a regulated credit reference agency based here in London, and we use alternative data, so PST2 and open banking data, to get a better and fairer appraisal of credit scores. I'll talk a bit about that in a moment. But firstly, how we got here. So, my background is in software. So I started my career in Silicon Valley. I think this is supposed to represent living off a small amount of money, but I was working for a few early stage tech businesses out in San Francisco, building tech platforms, and more recently working in fintech, building decision software around transactional data. I moved back to London in 2015 and realized that as far as most credit reference agencies were concerned, I didn't exist. And it was a very, very painful process to try and get any form of financial product. So not just loans, but even just trying to find somewhere to live. I was trying to, as most people do, trying to find somewhere to live in London, realizing it's very expensive, but also my landlord or prospective landlord didn't believe that I'd be able to repay back. And because I had been outside of the country for a couple of years, the credit bureaus themselves didn't really know that I existed. And so I founded a business to try and solve this. So we were founded in 2015. We were the first business to make live applications of transactional modeling in 2016. We're primarily a tech company, so we're more of the fin than more of the tech than the fin in terms of financial technology. And our team majors on sort of product, user experience, and most importantly, decision science. We're backed by Europe's top investment funds, so Entrepreneur First and NFT Ventures based out in Stockholm. And we were the first CRA to actively deploy open banking risk models, so using the newly available open banking data to get a more accurate appraisal of risk. And so now, in the last year, we've grown massively. We took on over 45 new businesses just in this year, tripled the team size, and we also won a bunch of fantastic awards for that work. So Tech World named us the most innovative fintech company of 2019. And we're providing value to our clients across a number of different facets. So our product primarily is focused on decision making, so we make decisions faster. So we just heard a little bit about how often there can be a lot of sort of unnecessary and painful paperwork or documentation required just to get through a financial application. So whether that be sort of sending in your bank statements, whether that be proving your identity, whether that be just getting through the kind of data filling to get to a decision. And we'll hear a little bit more about that in a moment in terms of how we can solve that problem. We help people increase acceptances. So in the UK alone, there are about 10, 15 million people that are some way financially excluded or financially sort of misrepresented by existing credit scores. By using this data set, this transactional data set that we glean from a customer's bank account, we can give them a much more accurate and fair appraisal of their creditworthiness and therefore allow them access to financial services when they would otherwise be rejected or otherwise have to pay exorbitant or higher rates. And finally, leading on to that, and a very important facet to our product is actually reducing default rates. So it's no secret that the FCA has put a lot of pressure on consumer lending businesses in the last 12 months to improve the way that they judge affordability. And at the moment, that's quite a difficult process and can often lead to churn or misrepresented or inaccurate data. And we allow customers really simply and easily to understand their customers' financial circumstances and make a decision. So just to cap off my part, looking at the financial inclusion piece specifically, we're helping new and innovative models come to market. So we were most recently awarded 2 of the 6 finalist spots by the Treasury and Nesta in the Affordable Credit Challenge. And we're working with lenders in lending to the police service and military services and to NHS trusts to help them improve and lend money to those previously overlooked customers. And to give a more concrete example of work we're doing in the secured lending space, I'd now like to welcome Rich from Mojo Mortgages to talk a bit about their implementation with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Hayes. I am the CEO and co-founder of a business called Mojo Mortgages. We're an online mortgage brokerage. Just to give you a little bit of insight into our business, we launched at the beginning of 2018. Since then, we've signed up around 60,000 users to the platform and completed over 35,000 mortgage fact finds, which if we were doing with a human being would take a lot of time, but we've done some amazing work from a technology perspective to deliver automation and digital transformation in that space. Our growth from a mortgage sales or a revenue perspective over the last year on year, over the last 12 months is 500%. And we've now sold over 3,000 mortgages, which equates to over £550 million worth of mortgages lent. And we are also very focused on strategic partnerships. So part of our play not only is direct to consumer, but also B2B, with 11 partnerships signed so far. A piece around the mortgage industry and feedback. For those of you who don't know the mortgage industry, it's a pretty antiquated space, and it's way behind any other sector from a financial services perspective. And so very few lenders actually have APIs for us to actually be able to integrate into. But we're told 2020 is the year of the API, and it's going to mean a big deal for us in terms of improving customer experience. And there's also huge adoption for open banking, with 96% of lenders believing that open banking will improve the mortgage application process. And this is a big part of how we're using Freddie and Credit Kudos' product to enable a better experience for not only our customers, but also our colleagues. One of the main things that we're deploying with the use of open banking data and again with Credit Kudos is a proposition called Mortgage Score, which is technically under embargo until tomorrow, so don't tell anybody until tomorrow about it. But it's a product that allows us to better support and help first-time buyers and help them get mortgage ready. Mortgage Score is all about making sure that a customer understands exactly what they need to do to get ready for a mortgage, including saving for a deposit, changing their spending habits, stopping things like gambling, spending money on gambling, the use of their credit throughout their account, and we're also using bureau data as well to support the decisioning. What we found, and the reason that we've decided to launch Mortgage Score, is we found that around 65% of first-time buyers that came to Mojo to get a mortgage weren't actually ready to buy a house. That ranged from everything from I didn't have an income all the way through to I didn't have a deposit. But clearly what we felt was that there was a big knowledge gap, and we wanted to try and address that. So we also found that 40% of people that signed up for a credit scoring service, something like Credit Karma or Experian, did so because they wanted to buy a house. But what we found was that many of those services didn't actually offer that customer enough insight into what they needed to do to get mortgage ready. We also found that 35% of people who were looking to purchase a property would decline the mortgage due to eligibility criteria. And again, a lot of this comes down to the fact that their spending habits on the lead up to purchasing a home simply weren't appropriate when it came to buying a house. So Mortgage Score will bring more transparency to the entire mortgage process, but fundamentally the part up to getting ready to apply for a mortgage. So it allows customers to better understand their circumstances, and we give that to them in a really easy-to-consume score. And then what we do is we introduce the mortgage coach, and this gives them really clear, insightful insight into exactly the types of things that they need to do to get mortgage ready. And again, we consume many of Credit Kudos' services to power the mortgage coach. And once we've combined all this information, credit, employment history, spending habits, deposits saved, and that kind of stuff, we can then very clearly and simply match those individual customers with a specific mortgage product. So the moment they become mortgage ready, we can introduce them to the product and then also introduce them into one of Mojo's advisors, either via live chat or via the telephone. And that's me. I'm slightly ahead of schedule. Thank you very much. Cheers.